Good to have you all today. So, guess what today is? Sunday. It's the first day of the rest of your life. I know we've all heard this, but really dive into that statement. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. So if you're not happy with your life today, guess what? Change it. Don't look at the past. Don't look who was responsible for getting you where you're at today. Good, bad, indifference, it doesn't matter. You have a way today to change your attitude and the way you look at the rest of your life. Starts today, starts now. So let's do it. All right, the title of the message is The Difference. If you'll turn to John, the 13th chapter, we're going to start reading with verse 6, and we're going to continue to read till we get to verse 11. Most of you know this scripture, but there's a couple of things I need you to look at. Verse 6 of the 13th chapter says, He came to Simon Peter, who asked him, Lord, are you going to wash my feet? And Jesus answered him, What I'm doing you don't realize now, but afterward you will understand. You will never wash my feet, Peter said. But Jesus replied, If I don't wash you, you have no part of me. Now listen to that. If I don't wash your feet, you have no part of me. And then Simon Peter said, Lord, not only wash my feet, but also wash my hands and my head. One who is bathed, Jesus told him, does not need to wash another except his feet, but he is completely clean. Peter, you're clean. But then he looks around and says, but not all of you are clean. Now, can you imagine? You're in the upper room here. Jesus just told Peter, you're clean. But then he takes his eyes off Peter and he looks and surveys the room. There's only the disciples in there. It's not like there's a 5,000, people out there in the crowd and everything. Just the few select disciples are in there. And he looks around and he makes this statement. But not all of you are. Can you imagine if you're one of the other disciples, other than Peter? God, is he talking about me? What does he know that I don't know? What does he know about me that I've tried to suppress and keep a secret, and now he's revealing it in the most inopportune time? That would be quite embarrassing. But let me ask you something. Have you ever thought about the difference between Judas and Peter? You have two people that are about to do something terrible to Jesus. One is about to betray him, and the other is about to deny him. Now that doesn't seem like it's too bad. But we all know the story, so we know that it's pretty bad. But on the surface, when you just say, I'm about to deny Jesus, okay. What's the big deal? What's going to happen? So what if I deny Jesus right now? But then one's going to betray him. But look at our lives. We've all betrayed. We've all been betrayed. We've all lived. We've all managed to deal with it. We've moved on. We've continued with our life. But look at the consequences of these two actions. One's going to deny him, and one's going to betray him. I think both has some type of weight that was hanging on. But Jesus doesn't see them in the same way. You have two disciples. One's going to betray him. One's going to deny him. And we've all been taught that, you know what? One sin's just like the other sin in God's eyes. But listen and look how Jesus handles this. In the story that we just read, Jesus is washing the disciples' feet at the last minute, doing this before he's going to leave this earth, before he's going to go be crucified on the cross, before, as we know, Jesus, his life is over. And he gets to Peter, and before he could wash Peter's feet, Peter says, "Lord, don't wash my feet. Don't do that, because that's not something you should be doing." But then Jesus says, "If I don't wash your feet, you can't have any part of me." So Peter then says, "I just don't want you to wash my feet. I want you to wash my whole body. I want you to cleanse me all the way from head to toe." But then Jesus replies like this. You know what? One who's already taken a shower doesn't need to take a bath. You're already clean. Except, Jesus says, "Let me wash your feet." So in other words, what this is meaning is, let me wash, let me get you ready, let me clean your journey that you're about to go. Because I'm no longer going to be here. So I want to set this right. I'm going to wash your feet. I'm going to wash your walk, your journey. And then the Bible says, he looks at Peter and he says, "You are clean." But then he looks around and he makes this comment, "But not all of you are." And in verse 10, he said, "Not all of you are clean." And we all know who he was talking about. We all know that he's talking about Judas here. All right, we read the story. We've been in Sunday school. We've seen the play. We know that he's talking about Judas at this point. So you had two people. You had Peter, clean. You got Judas, that's going to deny, that's going to betray Jesus. You got two disciples that walked closely with them. That was one of the chosen. But yet, we seem to think sin is all the same. And I'm not here to debate that or anything like that. But you've got to look at the heart of the sin. Well, Jesus knew full and well that Peter will deny him in the future. He would deny him 3 times. So why did Jesus say Peter was clean and say Judas wasn't? They were both dirty in the eyes of human, because you know Judas is going to betray him, and you know that Peter is going to deny him. But the difference is their heart. Judas had already set his heart to go against God. Judas has deliberately set forth to destroy Jesus. And when you look at Peter, Peter was just going to simply make a mistake. So as we look at these two, are we thinking, you know what, should they both be judged the same? Well, we look at Judas and we think, okay, Judas's decision to betray Jesus is going to end up someone's going to lose their life. Peter's deny the fact that he knew Jesus. If anything, it wasn't going to hurt Jesus. It was actually going to hurt him. We already know what's going to happen to Jesus. Judas had already set forth with his heart what was going to happen to Jesus. Why do we look at this story and we seem to think, man, Judas denied, betrayed, did a lot of bad things to Jesus at the end. Look at our relationships that we have in the workplace, at church, in every other aspects of our lives. Do we really have friends that will react Judas's way? Or do we have friends that will just simply make a mistake in the relationship like Peter did? I don't know about you. I think I would rather have a friend like Peter than I would a Judas. I can handle friends that make mistakes. We all do. Now, we're Christians and we're not supposed to. Mistake number one. All right? Or would you rather just have a friend that's fun, making some money out of this deal, but at the end it's going to cost someone their life? I mean, forget the fact that it's Jesus. I mean, just anybody in general. We look at this story and we think, you know what? Not a big deal. We all knew that, Jesus was going to end up on the cross and dying and being resurrected and everything's going to be okay. We have that, how can I say, we have that knowledge that how the story is going to end. But these two guys had no clue how their simple decisions would impact the world as we know it. I mean, you still got people hundreds of years afterwards still coming to church, worshiping this guy called Jesus. I would just wonder if all of you were either Judas or Peter or one of the disciples, what would you be doing? How would you react to this story? Which one would you be? What would you have done different? What choices would you have made? Would you have denied Jesus? Or would you say, yeah, I know this dude. Hey, come with me. Let me go cut your head off. That's a fun ending of a story. As I look at the baby back there, I'm thinking, you know what? What if he was born back in the Jesus' day? What do you think he would he grow up to be a Roman soldier? Would he just be a common folk? Would he be a blacksmith? Would he be a soldier? Would he be rich? Would he be famous? Maybe he would have been someone that Jesus prayed for. Maybe he would have been sickly. And then Jesus came and healed him. Maybe he was out playing in the backyard and one of those Roman soldiers came and ran over him and cut his arm off. Sister Deborah would have ran over there, picked his arm. Hey, we're going to go see Jesus. Jesus, put this back on. The Bible are full of stories. And I have so much fun. Because I'm thinking, you know what? What if I lived back then? What if I was one of those people? Of course, in my story, King David, that would have been good. You know? Peter would have been good. You know, I'm building my church. Not a bad statement for your life. I always put myself in a famous position. But we are a child of God. I don't need to be rich. I don't need to be famous. I don't need to be a soldier. I just need to be who God made me to be. I may be put in a situation where I can lay hands and heal thousands of people. Or I may just live my whole life and only reach one person for the kingdom of God. Which life is better? The life that chooses to live for God. But what if I want to be a Jesse Duplantis or a Jensen Franklin or an Earl Roberts or Billy Graham or something like that? Well, if you're focused on being famous like them, let me tell you, in God's eye, whatever your name is, you fill in the blank, and that's who God sees you as. He doesn't see you as Billy Graham, doesn't see you as Kenneth Copeland, or Roberts, or anything like that. He sees you as you are. He saw Peter. He knew what Peter was going to do, and he knew what Judas was going to do. My question to you is, what are you going to do? How are you going to react? Moving forward, like I said at the beginning of this message, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Okay? I don't see anybody here behind bars. All right, so you're not trapped. All right? You're not trapped. You have the freedom to walk out that door and do exactly what you want to do. You can go north or you can go south. West or east. But you know what? You're going to do something. What are you going to do? Are you going to be excited about living this life? Or are you just going to constantly live in the past and say, God, I wish I would have done this. I wish I had that. Well, you know what? This world is not perfect. Believe it or not, the person you're with is not perfect. I tell my wife all that every day that I see her. Baby, I'm not perfect. Closest thing no. I'm not perfect. All right? And then sometimes I reflect on my past. And then Satan will sneak in and say, you know what? You had it better with this person. You had it better with someone else. Who are you with today? Who are you going to love today? It never fails. Whenever I look at or run into someone from high school, and I thought back then, God, I wish I was like him, or I wish I knew someone like her, or you know, some kind of stuff like that. We've all done it. All right. And you look at them today and they're overweight, they're bald. They're not what you thought that they would be at this stage of the life. But then if you did an inventory yourself, neither would you. You know, I'm not 180 pounds. I can't breast 260 pounds anymore. I can't run a 4.4 anymore. I can't make the winning touchdown on a Friday night. I can't hit a baseball 350 feet anymore. But what I can do is I can live my life. I can be satisfied. I can be happy with what God's put into my life. And if I can't be, then I'm not very mature. Because you know what? What I learned at being a manager in a very early life, and people that manage people will understand what I'm saying here, it is so easy to fire someone. That's the easiest thing a boss can do. But a real leader, a real boss, a great manager will find a way to teach that person to do what they need to do to be successful in their job. And when you look at God, guess He's doing the same thing right now. You got a bad attitude. At least I do sometimes. God can fire me. He can stick me out there on my own. I can get an unemployment check. I can live for Satan. I can do all that. But God loves me enough to say, you know what? You're not doing what you need to do. But instead of firing you, instead of throwing you to the side, instead of not working with you, I'm going to make it my life purpose to make you succeed in whatever you do. Now that sounds like a good boss. All right? And I'm all for it. Except, Jesus still wants me out there whenever it's freezing and whenever it's raining or whenever it's 110 degrees out there. He still wants me out there working. I thought whenever I came to Jesus that I would be sitting in the air conditioner or in the heater with my feet up, just cruising through life. I didn't actually think that I would have to go through trials and tribulation. I didn't think that I actually had to do work. I just figured that people would just come. I would stand in front of a TV camera. They would pour money into my bank account, into my ministry, and we would just spread the gospel that way. God can do it. I'm not saying He can't. But what kind of person would I be today if my life was given that opportunity? Some people would say, well, you wouldn't be with these little peons. Well, these little peons are doing a lot more than a lot of other people are doing. All right? Doing a lot more. Look at this. We're few in numbers. I can get down here. I can spit on y'all. But I'm not. Okay? But y'all are here and y'all are doing a lot more than the person that's sitting right here. In every church in Silsbee, there is someone just like this. An empty seat. An opportunity for God to work in someone's life. But they would rather stay home. They would rather go to the lake. They would rather, and I saw this. I went to the Donut Palace today. I don't need it. I want it. I don't need it. And I look inside and I'm thinking, you know what? Everybody's getting ready to go to church. I was expecting to see a restaurant, Donut Palace, whatever you want to call it, full of people in church outfit, little kids in little dresses or little suits, all dressed up to go to Sunday school or anything like that. You know what I did see? Saw a lot of people that had no inkling that they were going to go to church today. Now, I'm not saying if you don't go to church you're bad. Not at all. You know me. I've never said that. I don't believe in that. How did I know that that family wasn't on vacation? And I'm one of those pastors that believe, hey, take a little time from your church, take your family, and go on a vacation. I'm not judging, even though it sounds like it. But you know what? We struggle with relationships. We struggle with our jobs. We just struggle with each other, and we wonder why I'm not happy. Well, you're not happy because you're not putting Jesus first in your life. Now listen to that. You're not putting God first in your life. Well, Brother Robert, you just got saying that, you don't have, not every day is just lollipop and roses. Running through the meadow with sunflowers everywhere. You know what? Even some Sundays, I don't even feel like getting out of bed. I love y'all, but I don't want to see you today. I love y'all, but I don't want to hang out with you. Come on, y'all fight that battle too. Let's just be real here. I wake up and I walk into the kitchen and I see my wife drinking a cup of coffee. Man, this is not the life I wanted. It's not the life I expected. Where's the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader? Some of y'all will get that later. Where's the Arnold Schwarzenegger of my life? Man, where's that 6-pack? Where's that 12-pack? All I got was one keg, huh? Life is full of different circumstances. Look at Judas. Do you think Judas was born? Do you think Judas grew up as a child? Judas got to the realm with Jesus thinking that he was going to betray Jesus? No. It just happened. But listen, it all started. Now really look at me. Everybody look at me. Everybody look at me. It all started with a day like today. You had an opportunity to live the rest of your life as if it was the first. Judas decided that day that he was going to betray Jesus. I'm asking you, don't betray you, Jesus, or anyone else. Be thankful, be grateful, work hard for what God has given you today. I was talking to a friend last night, having some plumbing problems. The thing about it is, you could probably, and I was talking to another one that was having car problems, and you could probably get more today if you sold that house, or you sold that vehicle, or you sold that boat, or you sold whatever. You could get more. But look at it this way. When you look at it, yeah, hey, let's just say you bought the house for $50,000. I'm just going to throw numbers. You could probably sell that house for $150,000 right now on this market. All right, and you would think, oh, great, that is awesome. But you know what? You have to buy another house to live in, and guess what? That house is going to cost you more today. Yes, I could double what I paid for my truck, but then you have to buy another truck. You could live another life without God, but what's it going to cost you? What will it cost you? It's going to cost you something. Let me give you a little hint. Even if you chose Jesus, it's still going to cost you something. Y'all stand. Let's look at it this way. I'm looking outside, and today is one of my favorite kind of days because the sun is shining. I can see it through the windows. I can see it through the curtain. It's not raining. It's not dreary. It's not freezing. It's not snowing. The sun is out. It's beautiful. It may be a little warm, but that's okay. It's a beautiful day. I look at all of you, and y'all are beautiful people. Change the setting. Now you're headed to prison. What kind of view do you have? Let's go to a drug hospital or clinic where people are addicted to drugs and alcohol or whatever their drug of use is. You don't see a pretty sunshine. You don't feel the warmth of the sun on your skin and everything like that. I have a bad life. Suck it up, Buttercup. There's people out there that's got a lot worse than you do. You still have the freedom to walk around and not depend on something else to satisfy you. You got to be happy with who you are. Because let me tell you, this is free advice. If you don't love yourself, if you don't respect yourself, how do you expect someone else to? Leave today, love yourself, respect yourself. I am worth having. I am worth. And I'm not even talking religion here. I'm just talking just pure being a human being in this society. Love yourself. Respect yourself. God can work with that. Treat people with respect. Because let me tell you, there's always someone out there prettier than you, built better than you, have a prettier smile, nicer hair, a better tan. What I'm saying is there's always something out there a little bit better. But what God offers you is that peace, is that calm, is that satisfaction of just knowing that you're loved just the way you are. You know what? If someone doesn't love you for who you are, you don't need to be with that person. You don't. Because if they can't satisfy you now, what makes you think that they're going to be able to satisfy you tomorrow or the next day? Or better yet, 30 years from now. Judas betrayed Jesus. He became famous, but not in a good way. I want all of you to be famous, but not that way. I want Paul to be famous because not how much money, not what kind of vehicle he drives, not what kind of house he lives in. I want Paul to be famous because he's a good person. He respects people. He loves people. He wants the best in people. He doesn't criticize. He doesn't downgrade. He lifts people up. That's what kind of life, at the end of Paul's life, I want to say about him. I want to say at the end of Sister Deborah's life, She was a good woman. She was a godly woman. When she could have been home with her husband and her grandkids, she was in the back praying for me, praying for you. When she could have had it better, she wasn't being selfish. She realized that, hey, God has given me something, and I'm going to use it to help other people.
The Keel.